from Weirton, I believe it's how, yeah, Weirton, West Virginia. This is an amazing story. This is a story of a police officer, an ex-Marine. On the left, you see a Marine holding a dog, a military dog, who refused to, not necessarily, wait, I want to use the right words. It's not that he refused to shoot a man. His name, on the right, you can see his picture. His name is Ronald Williams Jr., a 23-year-old. It's not that he refused to shoot him. It's that he realized, Mater realized that 23-year-old Ronald Williams wanted to commit suicide by cop. So on May 6th of I'm trying to think, was it this year? May 6th of this year, Mater, Stephen Mater, arrived on a scene of a domestic dispute, and he ran into Ronald Williams, who was armed. But while he was armed and holding a gun, he saw that the gun was down on the side of the man, and he told the man to put down the gun. Right? The officer told the man to put down the gun. The man refused and told him to go ahead and shoot me. And this is what Mater said. He said at that point he realized that this man wanted to commit suicide by cop. And I think it's something that he took a moment to not only be patient, but to extend some humanity. And he made a conscious decision. He said in the report, the Pittsburgh Gazette, he said that he began to talk with his calm voice because he realized what was going on and he wanted to de-escalate the situation. Now, in my opinion, the story should have ended there. I wish the story would have ended there because two things would have happened. Mater would not have been fired and Ronald Williams Jr., the 23-year-old, would not have been killed. But unfortunately, the story didn't end there. Two officers arrived on the scene, and when two additional officers arrived on the scene, and as they arrived on the scene, Williams became even more distraught, and he lifted up the gun and approached those two officers. Those two officers shot and killed Williams. Now, after an investigation, the county prosecutors determined that it was a clean shoot. Stephen Mater, the Marine who got to the scene first, the ex-Marine police officer who got to the scene first, he agreed. He said the two officers who came onto the scene, they were not privy to the information that he had gathered. They got there to the scene too late to realize what was happening. And so based solely on the information that they came onto the scene with, he agreed it was an unfortunate but a necessary, or at least a clean kill. And this terminology is disturbing even in itself, but I have to finish painting the picture. So even the tragic death of a person who wanted to commit suicide by a cop, he got what he wanted, and he's dead now, and you would think this is just the end of a sad story. But the story was not over, because now not only was Stephen Mater placed under investigation, but he also lost his job. And he lost his job, according to his police chief, because he put the lives of the two other officers in danger by not shooting the man sooner. Yeah, you heard me right. So essentially, in order to protect the decision that this was a clean shoot, they had to find that Mater was guilty, or guilty may not be the appropriate word here, but was responsible for putting them in the position where they had to shoot or putting their lives in danger. And so he subsequently lost his job as a police officer. Now, that's the long, full story of telling you that this man has been fired for showing restraint and trying to de-escalate a situation. And he has ultimately been fired because he did not shoot. According to his family attorney, he said it expressly like this. He said he did not only did he not kill the man, but he did not kill the man quickly enough. So in the backdrop of everything else that's going on, we have an example. And it's not just an example. I want to drill down a little bit, because this is not just an example of a black man getting killed by the police officer. This is an example of someone who is emotionally distraught, potentially dealing with mental illness, wanting to commit suicide. And this shows you that police are not equipped. At least 1 out of 3 police officers, let me flip that, 2 out of 3 police officers who arrived on that scene that night were not equipped to handle a mental health problem or an emotionally distraught person. And it made me think about the Washington Post reporting that shows that 1 out of, I believe hang on, I'm going to get the right data. I believe it's 1 out of 4, at least a quarter. Let me get that data, because I don't want to mistake that. But a lot of the shootings that we see involving police officers deal with people who are emotionally distraught or mentally ill. And so this is not to condemn the officers who arrived on the scene and, based on the information they gathered, decided to shoot the man, right? Because I'm going off of what Mater said. Mater said they had no other choice. Fine, we'll go with that. But this is most certainly to condemn the structure, the police training, the culture, and the demands that would lead them to fire this man for trying to show restraint and de-escalate a situation, because he saw it was clearly a person who was mentally distraught and wanted to commit suicide. And because he did not kill him quick enough, he was fired. I mean, you can't write a story. You can't write a story worse than that. You can't make something up worse than that. That's everything that we suspect about police culture being demonstrated on their own. Because, I mean, the message that is sending to the rest of the officers is that we should shoot first and ask questions later. Right? That we should not take any chances, because if we do take chances to try to de-escalate, then we could potentially be putting our other officers in harm's way. So ultimately, there's like a litany of situations that first and foremost should be involving mental health professionals, because police officers are not capable of dealing with these situations. I'm thinking again about Gregory Frazier in Pompano Beach. He had a domestic dispute, a situation where the Broward County Sheriff's officers, deputies, came to a domestic dispute, and they shot and killed this man who was sitting there eating wings because he got into an argument with his niece. And it shows you another situation that the police we should not call the police. I mean, this man in Pompano Beach, Florida, would be alive if his sister had not called the police. But who are we going to call, right? I mean, who are they going to call when you have someone so distraught that they want to kill themselves or potentially kill someone else, right? Let's not pretend as though Ronald Williams in Weirton, West Virginia, wasn't a potential threat. Even though the gun was unloaded, that's besides the point. It's not as though he wasn't a threat to himself and someone else. But when faced with an opportunity to save a person's life, this officer took that opportunity. And because he took that opportunity, he was fired. This is, I don't know, this is a really disturbing story. It's a sad case, and hopefully with the national coverage that it's getting, it's being covered everywhere now. Hopefully some type of recourse could happen, something, maybe him getting his job back. I mean, not only should he get his job back, but he should be teaching courses in de-escalation, because he showed not only the courage, but the professionalism to de-escalate a situation by changing the tone of his voice, changing how he approached the situation. He addressed the man as brother. The man said, "Go ahead, just shoot me." He said, "I'm not going to shoot you, brother." He tried to connect with the man, and he got fired because of that. Yeah. Yeah, I was right. It's 1/4. It's 1/4 of all police shootings involve distraught people. And included in the distraught category are people who are suffering from mental ill health issues. All right. So Stephen Mader, ex-Marine hero, did exactly what we need police officers to do. And ultimately, he lost his job because of it. And had he just think about had he been successful, though, then this young man that you see on my right hand side, on the right hand side, yeah, holding his son, would still be alive today.